The afternoon air in the neighborhood felt heavy, as if the heat itself carried the weight of unspoken grudges and unfinished fights. Marcus leaned against a cracked brick wall, scanning the street with eyes that missed nothing. At 22, he'd already lived through more violence than most would see in a lifetime. People crossed the street to avoid him. His name carried a mix of respect and fear, the kind of reputation he thought he wanted when he was younger, before he understood the cost. The first time he met Mr. Harris was not in a classroom, but in the alley behind the community center. Marcus had gone there to collect money owed, but instead found an older man crouched beside a broken basketball hoop, trying to fix it with a box of mismatched tools. Marcus almost walked past, but the man looked up, straight into his eyes, and said in a calm voice, "You any good with a wrench?" Marcus didn't answer. No one spoke to him like that without fear, without challenge. It unsettled him. He muttered something about not having time for games, but the man just kept working. Eventually, Marcus found himself holding the hoop steady while the old man tightened the bolts. That was Mr. Harris, a high school teacher, though Marcus hadn't stepped inside a classroom in years. Something about him felt different. He didn't flinch when Marcus spoke. He didn't ask about the gang tattoos. He just talked about how the kids in the neighborhood deserved a place to play without watching their backs. Marcus brushed it off, telling himself he didn't care. But as he walked away, he caught himself looking over his shoulder, wondering why that man had bothered to talk to him at all. 2 days later, Marcus saw him again, this time sweeping glass off the court after someone had smashed bottles there overnight. Marcus asked why he kept fixing things people were just going to break. Mr. Harris said quietly, "Because if we stop trying to make things better, we've already lost." The words stuck with Marcus longer than he wanted to admit. For the first time in years, he felt a flicker, small and fragile, of something he hadn't allowed himself to feel. It wasn't hope yet, but it was the faint, unfamiliar sense that maybe his life didn't have to keep going the way it had been. Mr. Harris did not come with sermons or speeches. He showed up with small tasks that asked for a little bit of time and a little bit of trust. A new net for the hoop, a box of chalk to mark fair lines on a crooked court, a battered thermos of sweet tea set on the bleachers like a promise that someone would stay until the work was done. Marcus kept telling himself he was only there because the court sat in his territory, but the lie wore thin each afternoon he returned. They began sweeping together, and in the slow push of bristles, Marcus felt something loosen inside him. Work without angles, motion without a lookout. Mr. Harris asked about the crew, only to ask what they protected. Marcus offered the usual words, the script he had polished over years: loyalty, respect, fear. Mr. Harris listened, then spoke of strength as the ability to choose the hard right over the easy wrong. He said power that depends on fear shrinks the one who holds it, the way a clenched fist cuts off its own blood. The days layered up like paint. Cliffs drifted in, testing the space. A girl with a chipped tooth sank a shot and beamed like sunrise. Marcus found himself teaching her the way to square her shoulders, and she called him coach without flinching. The word landed softly, surprising him with its warmth. That night the street felt different, as if the alley itself were watching to see what he would do next. Then the old ache returned. A car backfired, and Marcus saw his friend Jamal falling again, saw the bright puddle that no one could step around. Grief rode up like cold water. He pushed everyone away for a week, took a late run with his crew to remind himself who he was. The money was good, the fear came easy, but when he tried to sleep, he kept seeing that chip-toothed smile and a chalk line that stayed straight even after footsteps wore the dust thin. On a grey morning, Mr. Harris handed him a key to the equipment closet and said he could open early if he wanted. No conditions, no trap. Marcus unlocked the door and the hinges cried out like something waking from a long dream. He set out cones, taped a loosened wire, and waited. 3 boys arrived, shoulders lifted to look tough, and he recognized his own posture in them. By noon the court hummed. It felt like holding a small fire in his hands and learning it could warm instead of burn. When Marcus thanked Mr. Harris, the older man said he had only held the lantern. The path was Marcus's to walk. The words rested in him, steady as a heartbeat, and for the first time the road ahead did not look like a dead end. The call came late on a Sunday night. A clipped voice on the other end told Marcus that one of his crew had been jumped, and the rival gang was expecting him to respond. In his world, silence was weakness, and weakness was a death sentence. The old instinct surged, the clenched jaw, the quick plan, the weight of the gun in the drawer, but something in him hesitated. His hand stayed on the wood instead of opening it. He walked instead, each step dragging the past behind him like a chain. The streets looked smaller than they used to. The shouts of his crew grew louder as he reached the corner, ready to move on retaliation. Marcus's eyes found a boy in the crowd, barely 14. His shoulders squared the same way Marcus's had been years ago. In that moment, Marcus saw the cycle stretching forward, swallowing one life after another. He thought of the court, the chalk lines, the chip-toothed girl, of Mr. Harris saying that strength was in choosing the hard right. He stepped forward, not to lead them into a fight, but to tell them it was over. The air tightened, voices rose. Someone shoved him, but he didn't swing back. The hardest thing he'd ever done was to turn his back and walk away while the jeers followed him into the night. When he reached the court the next morning, Mr. Harris was there, unlocking the gate. Marcus told him what happened, every detail. The older man didn't praise or scold. He just nodded, as if this was exactly the man he had always known Marcus could be. Leaving wasn't easy. Whispers followed him. Some called him a coward. Others tried to pull him back in. But each afternoon he returned to the court, the noise in his head quieted. The kids came to shoot hoops, to talk, to laugh. Marcus began running drills, setting up small tournaments. The chip-toothed girl could now hit 3 shots in a row. Months later, a rival walked onto the court. Tension rippled through the kids, but Marcus stepped forward. No threats, no fists, just an offer, a ball, and a chance to play. The rival stayed. They played until the sun dipped low, and for those hours, the street didn't matter. Marcus knew the danger wasn't gone, but he also knew he'd found something worth more than respect built on fear. He had found a way to stand without a clenched fist, and in that, he realized Mr. Harris had saved his life, not by pulling him out, but by showing him a road he could choose for himself. Some lives change in an instant, but most shift quietly, one choice at a time. Marcus's story reminds us that redemption rarely arrives with fanfare. It grows slowly, nurtured by patience, trust, and the courage to turn away from what's easy. We all carry the power to be someone's Mr. Harris, to hold the lantern while they find their own path. And sometimes, the smallest act of faith in another can change the course of a life forever. If this story moved you, share it so others might feel the same light. Like, comment, and subscribe for more tales worth hearing.